The Places of Worship Act. This piece of legislation is an abomination, and it must be done away with. Alternatively, there is one glaring exception in it that Hindus can use to their benefit. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of TFI Media Group. I'm your host Tejasvi Malhotra, and if you haven't subscribed to the TFI English channel yet, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to receive all the latest updates. Coming back to the story, in this video, we will talk about Places of Worship Act and its loopholes. Let's begin. The Places of Worship Act 1991 is by far the most bogus, discriminatory and unjust legislation that has even been passed by the Parliament of India. It is this act that deprives Hindus of their right to reclaim their heritage, which lies submerged and subjugated under illegal structures that Islamist marauders erected all over India. The Places of Worship Act seeks to maintain the religious character of any place of worship as it existed on the 15th day of August 1947. Section 4(1) of the Act expressly provides it is hereby declared that the religious character of a place of worship existing on the 15th August 1947 shall continue to be the same as it existed on that day. Although the Ram Janmabhoomi dispute had been exempted from the provisions of this act, the legislation effectively acts as a bar upon the determination of all other such disputes across the country. Essentially, the road to justice for Hindu temples languishing under illegal masjids was closed. While the act ostensibly gives an equal status to all religious communities, the fact remains that the act has the most adverse impact on Hindus' places of worship. A majority of the places of worship falling within the purview of this act are Hindu temples. The Islamic invasions witnessed several prominent temples being destroyed and converted into mosques, such as the Kashi Vishwanath in Varanasi, which was converted into the Gyan Vapi Mosque, the Krishna temple in Mathura that was converted to Idgah Mosque, the Adinath temple in Malda, which was converted into Adina Mosque, the Kali temple in Srinagar that was converted into Khanka-e-Maula, and the list goes on endlessly. Not only is this unfair, but is also unconstitutional. The act prohibits Hindus from judicial recourse, a facet fundamental to Indian democracy. Would any other community in India tolerate their site of worship being infringed upon by Islamic structures that were erected by invading forces as a symbol of their supremacy over the faith of Indic culture? Would Sikhs allow a masjid to stand atop a gurudwara? Would Christians, for that matter, tolerate a mosque being built over a church after the latter gets ruthlessly razed by the ground? How would other communities react if symbols of their faith were preserved within mosque only to be disrespected on a daily basis, as the holy shivling has been within the Gyan Vapi Masjid? The time to get rid of the Places of Worship Act 1991 is now, or the opportunity might vanish forever. This is the best time to repeal this insulting anti-Hindu legislation. Soon, the BJP will emerge as the strongest player in the Rajya Sabha by perhaps getting the greatest number of MPs in the upper house than it has ever before. BJP already dominates the Lok Sabha with a thumping majority. This is the time to overturn the Places of Worship Act and pave the way for Hindu temples to be reclaimed across the country. Hindus are not infringing on the rights of anybody. They are merely demanding what has always been theirs, rightfully so. In the unfortunate event that the BJP does not repeal the Places of Worship Act, the Modi government must at least take the onus of declaring major Hindu temples and structures that have been illegally occupied by Islamic structures to be ancient monuments. All ancient monuments that have been declared under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958 are exempted from the Places of Worship Act 1991. For example, the shivling that has been found at the Gyan Vapi Masjid, if found to be more than 100 years old, which it most definitely is, will lead to the mosque being declared an ancient monument. As such, Gyan Vapi will lose its protection under the Places of Worship Act, and the road to Hindus legally reclaiming the site and building a grand temple around it would become much easier. It is imperative to mention here that the Narasimha Rao government had brought this legislation when the Ram Janmabhoomi movement was at its peak. By bringing this law, the government of that time effectively killed all demands in respect of Hindu temples beyond Ayodhya, even before such demands arose in a big way. So Hindus were told to fight for Ram Janmabhoomi and then retire to a corner and sulk there forever in memory of the many temples that they could not reclaim and restore to glory. The Places of Worship Act is a manifestation of decades of political hatred that Hindus have been subjected to. Now is the time to do away with it, or at least make the act ineffective.